Hey, what's up, guys? Just testing. I think everything should be working right now. I'm about to get started. Just looking at. Let me just mess with my interface really quickly. There's like this minor thing I want to fix. Okay, and I'm about to get started. Today, I'm gonna do a pretty quick stream. I won't be here very long. I'm just mainly it's just that I've been falling behind on my YouTube comments, so I want to just reply to people's YouTube comments. And that's basically it. Once I'm done with the YouTube comments, I'll be done with the stream. Okay, here we go. Hey, what's up? Welcome to the stream. I can be talkative, but right now I'm just focusing on the YouTube comments. If you throw me any questions, I'll get back to you when I can. Thanks for this. The sky is the limit.
I'll just start using Google Drive for all my things. The stage is much more reliable. Also, just woke up late, and so I'm feeling a little out of it. But the day is upon us. The day is nigh. You gotta keep studying. So I'm gonna go and work with 3 tests, and so we can move on to. Oops, let me just update this day over here. For 2021, May International QAS. Then I'm going to say reading and writing tests. Okay, so that's that. Am I exhausted? Physically, yes. Psychologically, yes. But spiritually, no. I'm not. Let's do it, guys. So today I'm going.
Okay, so I'm just seeing. Man, these are some old videos, yo. I need a. Yo. Well, I'm glad that I got through all of the QASs. I think there's like 1 or 2 that's remaining, but I basically got through all of the QASs before the summer. So now I just need to do like a million other things. You know, like create a database of the passages, and oh man, there's so much to do. Oh my god. Okay. What does this sentence even mean? All right, let's go double check.
Okay, good afternoon. I won't get the Zoom. I'll just keep it out. I'll keep Zoom out like this, okay? Anyway, this is B. Moving on. Okay, moving on. Yeah, just double checking. International students, yeah. Here.
Yo, 2022 March is a pretty popular video. I should put like timestamps on this. All right, so extremely dude, I am too tired today. I cannot put timestamps right now. Okay, I'll do this in the future. Just like imagining doing. Let me just double check. Did anyone ask about question 10? by any chance? Math. Okay, nope.
Let's watch the video. Please let me sign. I'm sorry. You don't have to release every single time. It's okay. I just want to do this. I'll still give you money.
It's very weird to be watching my own video on my stream, but here we go. Let's find question 10.
Let's give me a second. Let me find video. I'm not good, but
I'm speaking very fast because I'm at 3.3. I'll drop it to 2.5.
so they did not actually have my camera right there. Okay. So next questions.
Okay.
I guess he got what he deserved.
Right now the question
Anyway,
is
on the digital, the findings.
someone is asking about question 10.
Okay, and we're moving on. Number 10.
Oof.
What? I think college board locked me out because they're upset. Email and stuff, which I yes, please. Please let me know. Please. Give me a second, by the way. Wow, sad. That's such a funny. Sad. No comment. I guess he got what he deserved. So number 9. Let's go. The artifacts that Einstein found. Where are we?
Okay, number 10. Here we go. Finally, it took a while to find it. Here we go. Let me. Vineet, I see your question. I'll be right back after I finish off this question. So the question is, what does this sentence even mean? The artifacts that Einstein found led her to conclude that more than 100 Vikings had lived at the site for several years, using the site as a base. Oh, I guess I didn't explain that in the. Let me go here.
Using it as base, the site. What the site supposed to be?
Oh yeah, I did explain it. What's this question then? So I'm gonna assume that the part that's confusing is that the Vikings used the site as a base to explore other parts of the coastline. That's the part that's confusing. So let me type this out first. Okay. More than 100 Vikings had lived at the site for several years, using it as a base to explore other parts of. Okay, so now that I have that, I can type it back in. So here's the original sentence. Here's starting at the noun clause. And in this sentence can be broken into a main clause and a participial phrase and a modifier. Specifically, a participial phrase. Technical mumbo jumbo aside, basically it's two sentences. What part doesn't make sense to you? I assume it's the second part. To me, that just means it's basically you can use a site, a location, as a base, a jumping off point for exploration. Does that work? All right, so that's the pretty long explanation, honestly. But because I think I can't really tell what the problem is right now is the problem. So that was that comment. Now, how many more comments do I have? Let me just count how many more comments I have to get through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I have 10 more comments to get through. So you guys are asking, Vineet and Brian, you guys are asking questions that I tend to have longer answers for. So right now, to conserve my energy, I'm going to give quick answers. Because I want to get through these 10 questions real quick. These 10 comments as fast as possible. Dude, what? Korea makes my heart makes my heart all warm and fuzzy when in Korea I can order food and 13 minutes later it gets delivered to my door. Like my food has already been waiting at my door for 5 minutes. Yo, guys, I apologize, but I am like super low energy. I'm gonna eat and stream at the same time. Give me a sec. I just need to pick up my food. Yo. So this is gonna become basically a mukbang. Give me a sec. I'm gonna basically mukbang and answer these questions. So for now, I'll be focusing more on the chat, not on the YouTube comments. Dude, so hungry right now. Usually, I have breakfast. Right now it's 11:20 in Korea where I am. Usually I have breakfast, but today I didn't have breakfast because I woke up late, and I had to do my classes. So I'm just sort of recovering right now. Okay, so I'm looking at the chat right now. Vineet saying, "What's the range for at least a 700?" Like, there's not a particular number, right? But you can kind of be like, for 700. Actually, I should just memorize the 700 number. Give me a sec. For 700, I feel like realistically you should be getting four wrong on the writing and like 10 wrong on the reading, something like that. But I'll check it in a second after I set up my situation here with my food. Oh, bro, because I had like the bokum, which is like it's like a dish, like a plate. I have no side dishes. Oh well. I don't know if anyone wants to see the food that I'm eating. But you know what? Whatever, it's my stream. I'm gonna do whatever I want. So here's the food. And my gross old man shorts. Korea still uses a lot of like these like little vinyl wrapping, these plastic wrappers, and so I thought like, you know, Korea could be doing better at minimizing the use of plastic. But America, man, America's not that much better. I tried ordering stuff off of Uber Eats and Seamless and whatever when I was in New York. America's not really any better. All right, so this is a pretty basic pork dish. Pretty basic spicy pork dish. And this is my rice. All right, that's my food. Oh, and here's my little soup. Now this, I have a huge pork dish because I'm gonna split this with my girlfriend when she comes. When she comes late, I'm gonna leave some for my girlfriend when she comes back home. But and see, the nice thing in Korea is, they take care to package things so that like soups and stuff don't spill. Whereas in America, man, they'll put like a salad and the burger in the same packaging. So like the salad's all like hot and gross. It's like the grossest. Not all places, but like there's like zero care on the packaging. So the food gets to you like, and sometimes the food sometimes they like prepare the food and then it gets to you like an hour later, even though the food's been ready for an hour, because the delivery guy arrives there late and it gets, oh, it's so crazy. I got this in 13 minutes since I ordered. It's so insane to me how how poorly conceived some of these American services are. Anyway, whatever. That's just me. I'm just ranting. I just be like I'll just be like an angry old man. So I'll stop doing that. Now I just need to I need to get some chopsticks. I'll be right back. If I wasn't streaming, I'd probably like fry up some eggs and like also bring out some side dishes. But whatever, man. I gotta keep things moving on, maybe moving along. So here we go. Yeah. So I'll just be eating and talking. It's kind of awkward because I don't normally do this, but I'm just starving. So whatever, man. It's my stream. I'm gonna do what I want. So yeah, how many can you get max wrong for reading and writing? I mean, you should roughly be aiming at like -4 on the writing and then -10 on the reading. But let me actually settle that for you by teaching you how to do this. Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Here we go. Just look up score calculator. SAT. Oops. Score calculator. And you can just use any of these because they're all basically the same data. And then go 10 and 4, and you can figure it out. So this will get you a 690, somewhere between a 680 and 700. So I was a little off. I guess I should say 8.4. 8.4 is easy to remember, right? 8.4 gives you kind of in the range of 710 to 690. So 8.4. I would say realistically though, people keep thinking they can drop this to 3, which will make a big difference, which allows you to get a 10. But keeping a 3 is actually harder than you would expect. So I would say, yeah, it kind of depends. If you're a pretty decent student and you're more American, then I would say 8.4 would be a kind of good number to be aiming at. Otherwise, I guess if you're more international and and some of these like readings are just hard for you, then maybe 10.3 would be a good spread to be aiming at. So that was Vinit's question. Let me go to Brian's question. Brian's question is you go from 0, one mistake, to 7 or 8. How do you fix? You know what it is? You're basically getting lucky, and your actual you know what I'm Brian. When you get 0 or 1 wrong, I have a question. Do you go over all 44 questions again, checking which ones you had high confidence on and which ones you didn't have high confidence on? And do you review every single one until you can 100% know exactly what you need to do the next time to get it right? Because I guarantee you, if you're swinging between 0 to 8, and it's not just a one-off thing because you're really tired that day, but you keep swinging back and forth, it means that even when you get something right, you're not getting it right for the right reasons. You're only getting it right with partial reasons, or sometimes even the wrong reason. You're just lucky. It's like when you do a math problem and the teacher asks you to show your work, and it turns out that you were doing some weird voodoo magic, and it's like, okay, I mean, you got the right answer, but that was basically nonsense the way you got that right answer. I mean, that the same thing can happen on the writing. Are you actually taking care to understand every single step in your thought process and make sure that all of it was correct instead of just the end result? Because you can get a good end result sometimes even without the right reasoning. Just like how a broken clock is still correct 2 times out of a day. Kambar, Bonfire, what's up? I think the crackhead needs more crack. How do I read history passages? This is better if we have an actual history passage in front of us. And since I'm eating, I'm gonna be generous today by actually pulling up a passage. So this is April 2019. This is April 2019. What do you call it? This is April 2019 school day examination. So administration. So good. And so hungry and so tired. Okay. So, like, how do you understand something when you don't know don't know what the speaker is saying? I actually talked about this quite a bit yesterday in the reaction video. So I'm not going to do the super long version. I'm going to do a short version. I'm also really tired today. So there's two main areas you need to improve. Okay, the first area is actual grammar for parsing these sentences. Can you understand the subjects and the verbs? Can you identify the main clauses? Can you at least like zoom out from all of the modifiers and just identify just the basic thread of that sentence grammatically? I'm not going to go over that today. It's going to be a kind of long process to explain how that works. But like, it requires no great prudence to make a government. If you settle the seat of power, teach obedience, then the work is done. Like, you should be able to sort of grammatically parse this and simplify it for yourself. To give freedom is very easy. To give freedom, you don't need a guide. To give freedom, you only need to let go of the rein. But to form a free government, right? This is now, you have to see, at this point, grammatically, you have to see that the word free is connecting to freedom. But you also need to see government, and you need to connect that back to making a government. He's taking component A and component B and then turning it into AB, right? You need to be able to see these threads and grammatically. Oh no, actually, I'm actually mixing 2 points now. But the first point is, can you parse a sentence grammatically so that you could quickly simplify the sentence on your own? That's a whole skill, and it's not even a single skill. It's like a compound of many, many skills. So you're gonna need a lot going on there. That's a much larger, it's not even a single lecture, it's many lectures because you need to learn many different things to be able to do this very quickly. The second thing, which is actually more usable on the real test, even though you might not be a great reader, is it's a pretty basic, I can actually simplify it to a pretty basic tip. Look at this 3210. Let's see how long did I take. Okay, let's subtract 3145 from 3210. How long did I take to read that? How long did I take to read that question, to read the blurb? It took me 35 seconds, right? It took me 35 seconds just to read the blurb. Oh no, 25 seconds, sorry. I can't do math right now. Okay, it took me 25 seconds just to read the blurb. Actually, that's a little faster than usual. And I think maybe it's a little faster because I just happen to know who Edmund Burke is and what the French Revolution was to him. Like, so I kind of already know some background information. So 25 seconds, I would say, is a little faster. But one thing that happens is I'm very slow at the very beginning of a passage. You know, when I'm looking at a history passage. And this is generally true of all passages, but especially for history passages, because what I'm doing right there is I'm thinking, okay, Edmund Burke, British, French, National Assembly. He's talking to. Who is he talking to here? Oh, Reflections on Revolution in France. It's a book, or it's like a tract that he's published. So he's talking to the general public, the general educated public at the time. And what I'm doing is I'm processing, like, what kinds of things might he say? But I know he's a famous conservative politician, so I know he's going to be against the French Revolution. So I'm going to think. And then also this very useful word, tumultuous period. You know, it helps us kind of frame it. It's like, yeah, Edmund Burke is probably going to criticize the tumultuous nature of the French Revolution. Now I'm wondering what the reasons might be, and I'm going to forecast some of the reasons that I might think. The reasons are something like, French Revolution has these aims of restoring, like, liberty, fraternity, equality, whatever, right? There's these beautiful ideals. Burke is probably not going to talk about those ideals suck. He's not going to say liberty and equality and freedom and fraternity are bad. You know, what he's going to say is the way of getting to those ideals is probably a very bad idea when you're chopping off a bunch of people's heads and overthrowing society, right? So you should have some basic background information that you're using. Try to understand the context, try to understand the audience to whom he's speaking, and try to make some predictions of what kinds of things might come out. And now you're primed. Now you're waiting to find confirmation or disconfirmation of the thing that you're looking for. And that will help you increase your focus quite a bit. Like right now, going back to Brian, was it Brian who asked this question? I forget. Akshay. So, Akshay, I'm going to ask you a quick question, and you just mentally answer it for yourself. How many green cars did you see in the last week? Now, you're going to have a really hard time answering this question unless you're a car designer. And you are going around looking at the trends of what people prefer in their car colors. You're like really not going to be thinking about the green cars. You're not going to be paying attention to them. And so you won't have an answer for how many green cars you saw in the last week. Why? Because you're not primed for it. You were not prepared for it, right? And it's the same thing. Like when you go into a history passage and all you're thinking is, oh my God, this day, my life sucks. And you're just walking through the sidewalk of life, complaining about your life. And there's all these green cars that are passing by you and you don't pay attention to. It's the same thing with history passage. Oh my God, history, I don't fucking know. and you're just walking and walking and walking, and all these ideas are passing by you and have no idea what's happening, right? The reason is because you're rushing the blurb, you're rushing the first paragraph. You don't know, you don't even have any expectations. That's the problem. So you want to look at the blurb and have a and this might sound counterintuitive because maybe a lot of people, maybe through life, you've heard this idea of don't have biases, don't have prejudices, but it's not the same as having biases and prejudices to just be having forecasts of what it could be talking about. You want to stay open. You're not going to have 100% conviction that Burke is definitely going to say this. No, you're not. That's not what you're saying. You're just telling yourself, oh, what might come out is something like this, and I'm just going to check if that's actually what comes out, right? So it's counterintuitive if you're assuming that this is all going to bias you. It's not biasing you. All it's doing is training you to look for something. So make sure you have that and go into the passage and then draw threads. I have no threads here, right? But literally, if you see the word National Assembly here, over here, and you're like, where does the National Assembly come out, right? Is the National Assembly the people who are making the government? Which maybe it is. Are they the people who are giving the freedom? Which maybe they are. But forming a free government, is this a National Assembly? Like, you should be asking these questions. And when you're asking these questions, it will slow you down. It's not going to speed you up when you ask a question, right? It, like, thinking about things takes time. I mean, it's not something that happens instantaneously. So then you finally get the connection to the National Assembly in line like 7 or whatever this is, and it says, I do not find any of this in the National Assembly, and now you should be able to thread a bunch of things. The National Assembly is making a government, the National Assembly is giving freedom, but the National Assembly is not, tempering these things together into one consistent work. Now, that's grammatically, you need to be able to do the grammatical parsing that I was talking about earlier. So if you can't do the grammatical parsing, you're like half screwed. But you could still get the thread. You could still kind of get a gist just from the word but. You know what I mean? So slow down on the blurb is basically the quick tip. Slow down on the blurb and draw threads. As long as you can thread through from the blurb all the way to the end, okay, that you can have a bunch of threads that start at the blurb and end at the end, then you will be successful at reading the thing, even if you don't fully understand everything. That was a long answer. I wasn't trying to do that. I'm just trying to eat, man. Y'all are bothering me. Y'all are interrupting my meal. I'm kidding. So I know I make it sound easier, but I think a lot of you guys don't actually make a concerted effort to actually thread ideas, thread these words. Oh, actually, I even have a thread here. Ancestors, forefathers, they thread them. Yeah, like thread these ideas and see the connections. I mean, that's so important. I guarantee you guys, I read the history passage slower than you guys. Like, not all of you. Some of you guys are going to be slower than me, but generally it's because you're zoning out, not because you're actually reading. But if you notice how I read, if you watch my streams, you'll notice that I tend to read slower than most kids. Okay, because I don't rush it. I like processing it. I'm like, oh, okay, this might come out. What does this mean? I just need to double check, and I'm threading things as much as possible. Brian says most of it's wrong and not so confident questions come down to 50-50. Of course it comes down to 50-50. I know that this is such a... this is going to sound mean, but of course it comes down to 50-50. That doesn't mean anything, right? You can't learn anything from the fact that it was 50-50, right? I can learn something from the fact that I didn't notice the subject of the sentence was not the the mass, but sorry, I I can learn something if I read a sentence and it says the mass of the combined of the combined organisms. Uh, I don't know. The mass of the tree. Okay, the mass of the tree. And if I notice that I didn't realize that the subject was mass, but instead it was the tree, then that is something that can teach me something. Oh, for some reason, I have this habit of assuming that the noun that is closer to the verb is the subject, whereas obviously in this context, we're talking about the mass of the tree, not the tree itself. So the subject of the verb the subject of the verb in the sentence should be the mass, right? That's informative. But 50-50 is not informative. It's just an after the fact. Sort of result and outcome of the flaws in your thinking. So, if you are scoring above 600, 95% of the questions you get right or you're not sure of will be 50-50. Only 5% will not be 50-50. It will be 33, 33, 33, or like a complete a shot in the dark. Okay? They will always be 50-50, but that doesn't mean anything. You can't learn anything from them. So I think the step to get the key thing to keep in mind towards if you are moving towards a better score, or for you, Brian, you're trying to stabilize your score. If you really want to stabilize your score, you have to stop looking at the surface level of like, oh, I got 7 wrong today, but 1 wrong yesterday. What the hell? That's surface level. Oh, I was stuck between B and D and one of them was right. Again, that's surface level. Okay, you gotta go below the surface and see how big the iceberg really fucking is. Because sometimes you got it right, but actually you should have gotten it wrong, and it's not even the top priority question for you because it's such a hard question that even the kids who are getting 790 or 800 tend to get it wrong. You just got lucky on it, and for you to try to get it right using the right process, it would actually take you 6 minutes in real time, because your ability to read the passage and the ability to do the logical reasoning, step by step by step by step. I saw this question stem, I saw the word, I saw this word, I know that this word means this word, I know that logically and grammatically this means this is the contrast of this other thing, which means I have to make this inference, and then this inference connects back to answer choice C, because this answer choice C is saying this, but it says it backwards from the way that I would have normally expected, but it's a double negative, so now it's C. 6 minutes! It would take you 6 minutes to get this answer correct because it's one of the hardest questions of the whole damn question and the whole damn test. Would that be, just because you got that right, is that a win for you? No, it's not a win for you. Okay, step by step by step by step. Did you do it correctly? And if you got lucky on it, then, and if it turns out to be one of the hardest questions of the whole test, but you're aiming at getting, like minus 5 or minus 10, right? Then that means it might not be the top priority question for you, right? Instead, you should be focusing on the top priority questions for you. So just tutoring, the whole point of me tutoring kids is actually to break students out of their habit of thinking merely at the surface level and not actually examining what's happening under the surface. You really need to be able to break every single question step by step by step by step down into a process that you can actually follow that will get you to the right answer with like 90% or 100% certainty next time. So one way of starting to kind of develop this way of thinking, which will eventually stabilize your score because you'll now always have the right reasoning for the answers instead of just getting the right answers occasionally, is asking yourself, how confident am I? I got this one, I got number 1 correct. How confident am I that I'm going to get this one correct next time? I got number 2 correct. I know that number 2 is C. How confident am I I'm going to get this correct next time? Number 3, I got it correct. I don't know why though. How confident am I going to get this? How confident am I that I'm going to get this one correct next time? Not very confident. Okay, let's see what I can do to figure out how to get this correct. Now, you can sometimes do this without tutoring. I mean, you don't always need a tutor, obviously. So you can just use your online resources, the free resources, the friends around you to try to figure it out, and then break that down to steps that you can follow that make sense. And then number 4, I got this one incorrect. Okay, how confident am I? Now I know that the correct answer is B, and I see the evidence now, but how confident am I that I can get this one correct? You need to be able to break that down into steps that you can follow. If you can break that down into steps that you can follow, it's fine to be confident and move on. But if you can't break it down, you haven't really learned your lesson yet from that question. So to stabilize your score, if your score is unstable, I need to have like a one-word diagnosis for this, but if your score is unstable, it's because your foundations are weak. There's no way around it. It means that I'm not a very good sports person. I don't know a lot about sports, but there's sometimes there's star athletes who shine really brightly for one season, and then next season they're completely inconsistent, right? It's kind of like that. Sometimes they're even really quirky and they do very unconventional things, and it just really, really works when it works. But then when it doesn't work, it's just a complete shit show. I think that applies to SAT. Sometimes you have a lot of you have a lot of fluid intelligence, and you have the raw intellectual power to be able to make things work. And when it does work, it really, really works. But without the foundations, without the boring dribbling, the passing, the shooting, the 3-point. Without the boring parts, you're going to be unstable. It's always going to be true, no matter what endeavor, not just the SAT. Richard, I want to see how well I want you to test this. Get one of your parents or your siblings or friend to walk around while you do a practice test to see how it affects you. If it affects you badly, then I don't have immediate practical tips for you, but I would just say the passage has to be more interesting to you than the next closest alternative, the next closest option for your attention. Okay, if there are multiple things that are fighting for your attention, you have to construct the situation such that the one that you want to focus on is the one that's most interesting to you. Now, I know when you're doing the SAT reading, sometimes it's not very interesting. Sometimes it's very hard. The way to keep yourself interested is by constantly asking yourself questions. Now, I don't know your score level. I don't know your reading comprehension level. So I actually don't know what kind of tip I can give you at this moment. But let's say that your reading is pretty bad. Okay? When I say pretty bad, I mean you're not getting 600 on the verbal. For those cases, I might suggest the question first strategy, because even though I don't agree with the question first strategy, if you are very easily distracted, the question first strategy has a very, very clear and immediate benefit. It tells you what to focus on. The other thing about the question first strategy is it also gets you used to jumping around between the questions, because not all questions have an immediate answer right away that you can focus on from one part of the passage. So you kind of get used to moving around and focusing on the easy ones first. Okay, so the question first strategy could be a solution for you. If you're getting closer to 800 though, and you're that easily distracted, if you're that easily distracted, then I would bet it's not you're that easily distracted on all five passages. If you're getting close to 800 and you're easily distracted, it's probably for only one certain type of passage. Maybe you're easily distracted on the biology. Maybe you're easily distracted on anytime geology comes out. Stuff like that, right? So we'd have to be more specific about what your actual problem is. But the general principle here is the more interested you are in it, the less you'll be distracted by other things. And Brian, thanks for the question. I kind of said it in a harsh way. I'm just tired and I'm eating and multitasking. But all I mean is, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm accusing you of not doing anything I said. I feel like your scores are pretty high, right? So you're already probably doing some of the things I've been talking about. But if you're swinging that hard between those between like 1 and 7, it's almost certainly you don't really know the rules. And if you do think you know the rules, you might actually not really know the rules, even though you think you know the rules, because the rules that you're using might be those shortcut rules that like all those textbooks, all those SAT prep books come up with, like the shortcut rule of like choosing the shortest answer, you know, looking at all the pronouns, look one line up, one line down. All the shortcut answers, they're never going to give you 100% confidence because they're not the fundamental grammatical answer. The real answer sometimes is a lot more complicated than the shortcut answers. The shortcut answers are going to get you, thankfully, the shortcut answers can get you up to like, out of 44 questions, it could even get you up to like 35 questions or sometimes even like 38 questions just based on the shortcut answers. Your brain is totally turned off, you're a complete automaton, you're a robot, and you're just like memorizing these rules, these shortcut answer rules, and then you get to a pretty decent score just by the shortcut answers. But for you to go from, people always say that the writing is so easy. It's not easy. If you want to go from 40 to 44, it's actually really hard. In fact, I would say it's easier to go from reading -10 to reading -6 than it is to go from writing 42 to writing 44. Okay, I just think it's easier. It's because there's many more things to work on to go from a reading -10 to writing 6. There's many obvious things to work on to go from -10 to -6. For you to go from -2 to -0 on the writing, oh my God, it's so unbounded. There's so many things you need to understand, and you need to actually start undoing some of the easy shortcut answers that you had previously learned. And you'd have to like really understand fundamentally the structure of sentences and paragraphs, and that could sometimes take a long time, like a really long time to get to that point, at least of stably getting to 0. It's a journey, and everyone just assumes that writing's so easy. It's not. It's easy to get to like 36 out of 44. That's not that hard. All right, but after that point, you have to actually start using your brain. I'm looking at Kabuk's question. And I'm just chewing on this pork. Don't worry, I'm not chewing on turtle. That's a dumb joke because his name Kabuk can refer to like a turtle. How do you improve on reading? Now, I don't know how many of my streams you've previously watched, but if you know my strategy at all, the general gist is this. Read the passage first. Yeah, slow down. Slow down. If you slow down and you find you're zoning out, it means that you don't understand the genre conventions. So you don't know how to categorize the information or classify the information that's coming into you. And so you're going to struggle on this next task. After you finish reading the passage, just sort of refresh. What is the map of the passage? What did the concession come out at the bottom left of the passage? Did the experiment design come out at the top right of the passage? Did the result come out in one single paragraph at the bottom right? Or did the results come out like multiple times and step by step from starting at the bottom left, going to the middle right? When I say bottom left, middle right, I'm talking about on the page. And, do you have a decent map of the passage where you have these little signposts where you know which information came out at which parts, right? And do you know like the function of each of these paragraphs? Or at least, and sometimes it's not even paragraphs, sometimes it's literally a single sentence, or sometimes it's like a super long paragraph with like 4 different sections in it, right? But can you at least identify this? Can you identify all the parts and signpost it so that you have a decent map? You should be checking that. And after that, you'll notice that your ability to predict the correct answer on the question stems is going to go much, much, much higher. And you'll notice that you'll be much more confident on the reading. But the problem for this is that you actually have to learn the genre conventions. You need to understand the genre conventions of science papers. You have to understand the genre conventions of literary fiction. You have to understand the genre conventions of speech and debate in the last 300 years, right? You have to understand those genre conventions. And and that is a whole process in and of itself, right? But that is generally long-term how you improve the reading section. Now, if you're taking the August test in like 3 days, then I can't really recommend much to improve the reading section. But one thing you can try is just between now and Saturday, at least solidify your strategy. Are you going to do the question first strategy? Are you going to use whatever hybrid strategy you're currently using? Or are you going to use Saul's strategy of reading the passage first, building on a map of the passage, and predicting for the question stem without doing process elimination and avoiding process elimination as much as possible? Just experiment. Try the couple strategies. Like maybe if it helps you, like write it out, right? Like make like a chart where you kind of do a compare and contrast. Write out the specific characteristics of the different strategies that you've heard of, and try them all once, and then see how they feel for you, and be like, you know what? I'm not gonna go naked where I just have some sort of amorphous Kabuk strategy that has never even been tested. I'm gonna at least settle on one strategy, and I'm just gonna commit to it. I think that could be, that could lead to a pretty significant jump in your confidence, and maybe even a significant jump in your score, just because you're choosing the strategy after testing them once. Okay, and just as a word of encouragement, there, it's very common on my YouTube channel. If you kind of go through all the comments on my YouTube channel videos, you'll notice every once in a while I got at least 10 of these. People are like, "Oh my God, Saul, thank you so much. Once I switched to your strategy, my score jumped up by 20 points, 40 points, 60 points even." You see a lot of people who've been like over studying and over optimizing on the wrong strategy. So that when they switch to strategy, they actually see a pretty noticeable pop in their scores. So I'm not going to guarantee that's going to happen for you, and you only have 4 days, so that's not a lot of time, but 3-4 days. But you gotta the basic concept for the last week, the basic idea for the last week leading up to the August SAT is don't do anything that drops your confidence. Just stabilize, and if possible, increase your confidence, but don't even expect to do that. Okay, just never drop your confidence. Don't do anything too new, and if you could just squeeze one experiment in, just try a couple different strategies, then choose the one that feels the most confident for you. So, Kabuk, you went to a boot camp. Um, you saw some big improvements. You know, it's like when you take somebody who hasn't been working out for 3 years and then put them in CrossFit, then suddenly they can do much. Then they can do a lot more squats. Well, at some point, if you plateau, once you plateau, the sort of low hanging fruit are already taken away. Obviously, the biggest and most obvious jump happens when you haven't been working out for 3 years. Then anything you do is going to make you more fit. But once you plateau, at that moment, there could be so many reasons why your squat is stuck at, I don't know, 120 kilograms or whatever the hell you are, right? Your squat could be stuck because of problems with breath control, that you're not utilizing your core, and you're not breath control. It could be some of the accessory muscles in your lats and and your serratus, and it's kind of like it's like fucking with your upper posture. It could literally be down to ankle mobility. Your ankles might be kind of like overly stiff, so at the bottom of the squat, you have no options there. There's so many reasons why you're not growing. So at this point, specificity is key. And if you feel like you can't improve anymore, you have to start drilling. This is actually pretty similar to what I was talking about with Brian earlier. You can't be looking at the surface of the fact that you're not succeeding. You have to be looking at like the underlying causes or the potential causes for the superficial exterior outcomes, right? You have to be able to see what's contributing to that, and that's a lot of work. That's a lot of mental work, and it's not easy for a lot of students. Which is why a lot of students get tutors. You don't need a tutor though if you know how to analyze your own. Like I talked about this yesterday, but I watched a bunch of YouTube videos on that were giving tips on the SAT, and there was that. I keep forgetting her name. Was it Joy? Yeah, it was Joy. Joy Zhao. Okay, Joy, I think. Joy actually shocked me at how good she was at understanding her own mental processes. Those kids never need a tutor for anything in their lives. Okay, not never, but need is actually, yeah. If I focus on the word need, Joy will never need a tutor for the rest of her life. She will always be able to teach herself something, okay? Because she's extremely sensitive to the way that her learning process works. The vast majority of you who are watching here, and the vast majority of students that are out in the world, the vast majority of students that I teach, dozens and dozens of students week in, week out, they're close to zero self-awareness in terms of how good, how sensitive they are to their learning process. They're like, oh, teacher, oh, I'm stuck at, I'm not trying to make fun of any one of you in particular because it's so common. Like, if anything, you guys are the mass. You guys are the majority. I'm the extreme minority here. But like, it's so common. Like, oh, I'm stuck. Oh, I have 50-50. Oh, I have, of course you're stuck because you don't know the reason. Like, you're just talking about the superficial exterior of things. Like, you're never gonna improve if you don't at least make guesses on what the reason might be. So you want to be able to start making guesses on, hey, why did I zone out on this part of the passage? Like what? Like, cause I didn't zone out on this part of that passage, but that other people thought was really hard. I thought that was really interesting. Why did I zone out on this one? Right? Or, I was stuck between B and C, and when I'm asking people, everyone says it's obviously C because of this and this is this, and like, why is it obvious to them but not to me? Like you have to really get under the surface and really think, like, what's contributing to the thing that's making me potentially choose C, or even if I choose B. What's contributing to me choosing B but still feeling shaky, even though for everyone else it's like super obvious? Like, you have to really look under the surface for that. Now, obviously, as a tutor, I can really help you. I can help you with that. I can help you with it because I know the pitfalls of how people get trapped in certain kinds of weird and funny loops of like these infinite loops of their own like kind of strange reasoning, right? But I can't do that. But I can't just do that in a general way. There's not like a one size fits all for every single question. You know, it depends on the question. It depends on that moment. It depends on the word and the interpretations at that moment. So that's how you're going to improve, by really examining the details and identifying the underlying contributing factors to your confusion. Harry, what's up? Adi or Adi? Adi? Adi. I'm going to go with Adi. The question, this was April 2019. Lamin, do I have any tips to focus in the history passages? I literally just talked about this like 20 minutes ago. I'm just gonna. Hey, does anybody feel willing to like type out what they remember from my tips? It helps me a lot actually to hear other people. It helps me a lot to hear my students summarize what they remember from me, because that also gives me a little like checkpoint to be like, okay, I see where the reasoning ability kind of like ran up against the wall or whatever. So it also helps me to refine and hone my explanations. So if anyone feels generous enough to share what they remember from what I said, and or add your own tips as well, I think that would be very helpful. Alternatively, Lemin, you could just rewind this video like 30 minutes ago and just just find the part where I talked about the history passage. So Harry is one of my students in Korea, and I told Harry I would cut my hair if Harry and Rachel both got 50-50. Adi, thank you for all those tips. I basically agree with every one of them, although some of them are less practicable, like don't zone out. How do you not zone out? Like, how do you do that, practically speaking? But but still, generally, the gist is correct. Um, a slightly more practical version of don't zone out is don't be idle. And what I mean by don't be idle is anytime you notice that you're no longer thinking about anything, just do anything. Like, just do anything other than being idle. Meaning, if that means just underlining that sentence, underline the sentence. If that means skipping that sentence, then skip that sentence. If that means using the question first strategy and looking at the question to help you find something to focus on, then look at the question. Like, do anything. Anything is better than being idle. So that's a quick response there. Wow, I'm still really tired. Now I'm gonna go to the YouTube comments again and try to finish off what I started because I'm basically done eating. This is supposed to originally be like a 30-minute stream where I just focus on the YouTube comments mainly. I have 10 YouTube comments that I haven't replied to yet, so I'm gonna go through those. But then my food came like super fast, so this ended up being a mukbang. Okay, now this is the end of the mukbang, and now I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue with my YouTube comments. You guys want to see my cat? Ogu is just staring into. He's just staring into the back of that chair. 안녕. Okay. That's my cat. Back to me. Back to my. Back to my ugly mug. Here we go. You're done. Yeah. Yeah. Look, it is possible to depress your scores by having really bad approaches to the test. Obviously, the fundamental reading ability probably is not getting worse. So that could mean either one of two things. Either you have either your score is underrepresenting your genuine reading ability, in which case all you need to do is switch up your strategy until it works for you. Or your fundamental reading ability is actually at 720 and you just sort of got lucky on the 750. I don't know you, so I don't really know which one of those possibilities is the true one for you. But you have to be able to accept the reality that maybe, or at least face the reality that, or face the possibility that maybe you got lucky for the 750 and your actual reading ability is 720. So just think about the possible reasons for that, just to kind of continue with that theme. You really should be looking under the surface and not just looking at the surface level of things. Reading ability is definitely something you can improve though. It's not a static thing. Reading is something you can definitely improve. So if you ever feel what Audie says, okay, Audie says that his reading score will never go above a 700. Now maybe he's being cute, and he's just like kind of being like pessimistic for cutesiness. But regardless of Audie's particular like reason for saying that, just generally a lot of people do feel that feeling that it's never going to improve. Guys, it's not going to improve if you're thinking of trying to shortcut it all the time. It is going to improve if you are thinking of, hey, Saul's map of the passage is really good. I wonder why. And then you try to read the passage again and again and again, and then you're like, oh, okay. I see. So this is where the experiment design started. And in the experiment design, I thought there were only two groups. I thought there was a control group and an experimental group, but there was actually a third group. There were two experimental groups. Oh, I see. I was all confused. So I mixed the two experimental groups into one experimental group. I combined them into one experimental group. And so when later on the next paragraph talked about the two different results, I think they were talking about the same results. I was fucking confused. And so once I got through that, then I thought the significance, was supposed to be pretty obvious. But then the significance in the middle right was for me all garbled up because I thought those two, right? You need to be able to go through that. That's how you improve reading. That's how you improve reading. You're not going to suddenly get good at math just by doing process elimination all the time. You're going to get good at math by understanding how geometry works. You know what I mean? You have to actually learn what a sine is at some point. So you have to actually improve your map of the passage. I mean, people, all of these online, all of the YouTube content, everybody, Princeton Review, Bear is Erica Meltzer, presumably. You know, none of these people tell you improve the reading itself. But you got to improve the reading itself. Anyway. And if you do that, your fundamental reading ability will go up, which means that the score that you should be getting, the score you deserve to be getting will slowly go up as well. Okay? So once you have a score that genuinely is supposed to be at 750, at that point, doing all the little strategy cleanup and this and that and using these little shortcuts and techniques, they are no longer limiting you. All they're doing is helping you get that score that you actually deserve. So keep that in mind. Also, I gotta pass off my pork to my beautiful girlfriend. All right, here we go. Yes, I was doing mukbang. Did I miss anything here? Is it possible to get worse? Oh yeah, I already answered that for a little bit. Okay, Hung is asking me a question, but guys, I've been doing way too many questions. I really need to do this YouTube. I really need to do this YouTube comments, and I need to like go on. I have things to get done today, so let me fix up my screen real quick. But if you guys in the chat feel generous enough to share your tips for how to review a practice test, Hung would be thankful, and I would also be thankful because I'm barely making it through the stream. I'm so tired. I've been talking so long. I also did a 4-hour stream yesterday, so my voice is like slowly like crackling. Okay, back to the comments. Did I replied to this. I did reply to that. I'm going to refresh this page so that all my previous answers show. I'm assuming this is just spam. Promo SM. All right. Who is Alice? What the hell? It's not even very good spam. It doesn't lead to anything. Should I don't. Okay, well, I'm not even going to delete it because it doesn't say anything. Oh, Hung, I agree with that, by the way. Although I don't think that's the whole picture, but I do agree with that. April 2021. Did I do well on this one? Oh, I didn't even like share. Oh, this is an old one, huh? It's an old one. How did I do? Oh, the trillion.
I must go. I will see you guys.
Yeah, what? Oh, I guess I only did parts of it? Kind of confused. Whatever. All right, never mind. I was just kind of curious how well I did, but... Okay. Juice World Forever. Did I put a typo? Okay, no, we're good. All right, these are some pretty straightforward comments, so maybe I will be able to have some energy to answer some chat questions. We'll see. But I want to get through these. I've been waiting to do these comments, so let me just get through them real quick. Why is 6 not C? Oh, okay, cool. Specific question. Here we go. Back
All right,
before
good
I had this,
afternoon. I think my
back before I had this mic, and it got all the background noise. Question 6 is around here, I assume. Cool. That was perfect.
life, but he knows
Why is it
so much.
YouTube? Please give me better quality. I have Korean internet,
You can tell, yeah, because he's lived it.
not the American third world internet. Unless you pay like $400. It's not 400, but American internet is so expensive. In the passage, finds a significant contradiction in his character in that he. Now, I remember this passage, but I do need some time. Oh yeah. It's C. Okay, so let's just listen to my. I'm gonna listen to my own explanation first.
Lived there his whole life, but he knows so much about English literature. Yeah, let's see. Knows from when he was bored. Yeah, there was that's eight. So when he was bored, I'll tell you where that's from. I would visit that room the day was dull. Yeah.
Wait, 2.5 is way too fast. I'm gonna drop to 1.8. 1.8. Here we go.
I feel like I'm having technical problems, but whatever. Contradiction. Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. You should be thinking this is a unique character. So what's unique about him? You know, and he's unique because he's an island person who knows nothing, who has never traveled around the world, as far as we can tell. Yeah, because he's lived there his whole life, but he knows so much about English literature. Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, I just did it without even referring to a text, so I should at least refer to a text. Here we go. Um, this is March 2022. Let's see if I scroll on the next page. You know what? No. You know, it'd be faster if I just get to my iPad. Here, let me pull it up on my iPad. Give me a sec. March 2022. Okay, and let me. Where's the what do you call it? iPad. Who else has taken this test? Dude, it's been a while. Oh, there it is. Line 31. He had lived in Colombo all his life. His manner, his accent. He's an island person. Look, if you met in 19, what year was this? In the 1950s, guys, you have to understand, this is post World War. If you met an Indian man and he makes his little holy pilgrimage to the land of English literature, he goes to London. And he is from Sri Lanka. And he knows all of the classics. Now, American education doesn't focus on the classics so much. But if you know anything about English education, right? Like the fact that you know, it separates you in class. It makes you more it makes you more upper society people if you understand, right? If you know Keats and uh, Wordsworth and Shakespeare and Johnson, and if can you refer to, like, do you know these people, right? Like, American education took a different turn, starting in, I think, the 80s. And we started kind of disassociating ourselves from the classics. But from what I understand of English education, it's still very much, I mean, not so much probably these days, but it's still very much a part of the cultural sort of education of English kids. And imagine meeting a Sri Lankan in the 1950s, guys. What a crazy person to meet. Somebody who could, where was it? Was it over here? Was it over here? He'd sing a song from the Azores and recite lines from an Irish play. he memorized these things, right? 1950s. Guys, like my family, we're Korean by hair. In the 1950s, you know what was happening? Korea was bumfuck nothing, devastated, poor, very, 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 very poor. Very poor. I don't know Sri Lanka in particular, so I won't comment on that. Do you know what the world was like in the 1950s? And for some guy in an island country with no Amazon, with no Google to like come up, it's a crazy thing. Now, you might not be able to come up with all of this. You might not be able to come up with all of this on your own in the real test, but you should see this word, this but. And before and after the but, what happens? He had lived in Colombo all his life. His manner, his accent, he's an island guy. But he had such a wide ranging knowledge of books. Does it only mention these two? No, no, no. It mentions more. We get the Orwell and the Gissing and the translations of Lucretius and all this stuff. Okay? So let's go back to the YouTube comment. Okay, so let's double check what C says. What? The hell? It is C. Am I confused right now? Public. What is this person talk? Oh, are we talking about D right now? So first, I'm going to say 6 is C. Now, I can't tell what this person is referring to, but let me read lines 21 through 23. So let's see. Huh? So which answer choice is this person going for? Oh, line 20. He was not used to public effort, even though he was not going to be part of the public world. Okay, I see. I just need to. This is my unannotated version, so I need to take some time to think about it, to find my line references. But I'm glad, Adi, that this is going to help with you. Okay. Okay, that's a pretty long explanation, but yeah, I mean that kind of kills it, right, for sure. Also, it's not a contradiction, because that's not a significant. It's not a significant contradiction in his character. Even if he even if we accepted, then any okay, and even if we accept it, I'm just gonna type it first. I cannot multitask right now. All right, that's like the extremely long answer, but yeah, but I think that definitively kills it. Ooh, that's awkward. I'll go fix that. Let's turn them into. Okay. So let me just reread this to make sure I agree with everything I said, but um, Yeah, I murdered that question. Uh, I don't think there's any potential counter. I don't feel like there's any potential counterattack to anything I just said. So, but if there is, I'd be very curious what you guys can come up with. But for now, as far as that question is concerned, I basically murdered it. Uh, we can move on to the next question now. So that was Tian's question. I'm seeing a bunch of chats, so let me just say, hey, you love that explanation. Thank you. Doing some reading. Anonymous is apparently very confident in himself or herself or themselves. Okay, or whatever I gotta say. But would you say doing some reading question? Yeah, I mean, I guess you could just go in totally cold. I mean, you know, like it really just depends on your confidence, right? The more confidence you have, like do whatever makes you feel confident. So if you think looking at the reading questions are going to looking at the reading questions is subject verb agreement is going to drop your confidence, then don't do it. Just go in blind. Um, Now, I mean, but there is a pretty obvious answer. If you have never taken an SAT before, I mean, even just doing one practice test would be very helpful because then you could at least get past all of the annoying sort of administrative aspects of it. Like, oh, okay, this is what the questions look like, and this is what the questions ask. That you're not really worrying so much of the bubbling and whatnot. So generally, that is pretty freaking useful. So if you've never taken an SAT before, please go ahead and take it once at least before taking the test. But I mean, I'm not knocking people who go into a practice test, or sorry, who go into a real SAT without basically any practice, because sometimes you're just that good. Sometimes you are. This test hit me harder. Bruh, I don't want to reread this. Hey, wait. They didn't take this down for copyright?
We're seeing this.
Interesting.
PM or SAT. The 2017 April school. Some news.
That's crazy that they didn't take it down for copyright. That's insane. I actually probably need to edit that out, but whatever. Anyway, I guess instrumentals don't really make a big difference. We'll see. I actually don't know which band that was. I can't recall which band that was. Anyway, this is Shotomama, which is not too hard. This is but a lot of kids had some trouble on some of the lit questions. I vaguely remember. And then we have what? Oh, is this when I was doing long form explanations? No, I guess not. This is oh, dude, I don't want to do this. I just want, what should I say? Uh, 2017 April school day, is it? I don't remember. I need to like look at my database. Do I have my database here? No, I don't have my yeah, I don't remember. I'm just not gonna comment on that, but I'm just say, oh yeah, the lit passage. That's okay, struggle. The lit. So you're not alone. Oh, I didn't realize this K was specifically talking about those two passages. I could at least make a quick comment on those. That's pretty easy. Where's the history passage? Where's my history passage? I'm like super confused. Oh, is this day one? I see, that's why. I'm too lazy to check the other ones. All right, let's look at 민채. Oh, I'm getting
It
more
was the only
Korean.
one that kind of worked with all three, but it was still.
It's interesting. I'm getting more Korean kids. This is not what I expected. Like Korean kids with Korean names. That's not what I expected, right? Korean kids with Korean names, the stealth Koreans with their English names, right? Uh, like the sort of Americanized ones or whatever. Like I would expect them to be on YouTube. But the Korean kids with the Korean names, I'm just not super. It's just a little bit off expectation that they'd be using YouTube for unexpected for them to be using YouTube for their SAT study, especially when I'm not a very clean explainer. I do many levels of explanations for questions, so I don't just make it really extremely simple. Like this is right because blah. I don't make it like that. So I find it interesting when people break my expectations. Live, verb, plural, a. Okay, BA. This is question 23. Passage 2, 23. Hang on. No, it's the first question of passage 3. Here we go. Did we say 23, right? Yeah. Oh, I see. I already explained this in the thing.
The urchin dwells. Okay, the purple sea urchin dwells.
Yeah, I already explained it. Short answer is for subject-verb agreement, you should never look at the other sentences. You should only focus on the subject of the sentence, of the clause. That the verb is occupying. Said this can get confusing with pronouns, so just make sure you understand what the pronoun in your clause, subject pronoun in your clause, is actually referring to. In 23, the spiny animal, small spiny animal is a singular subject, and the can live is a singular verb. Specifically, you misidentified the can live, the live as the verb, as a plural verb, when actually the head of that verb is can, which is either singular or plural. Starting with your question, that's a pretty unusual question, actually. It's interesting, but that's one thing that's really nice about teaching online, teaching quote unquote teaching online, because in classes it's hard to hear all the weird like it's in classes with lots of people, it's hard to hear everyone's reasons for specifically why they got something wrong. So it's hard to like generalize, or we have to start with the most general thing. But yeah, on when everyone has the time to just type out their reasoning, then I can kind of hear sort of the sort of the unique paths that people get to arrive at their mistakes. Give me 1 second to make a quick comment to my girlfriend. All right, finally. Boop, boop. May your test day be I'm trying to think of something that sounds sonically resonant with test day. Spectacular. Spectacular. What starts with a D? Dude, I'm so not creative these days. Holy crap. Dink. So earlier there was this question, anonymous. I didn't realize you gave me a follow up, but on the day of the test, heck no, man. Why would you take a test on the day of the test? That's so much energy. Conserve your energy. But I mean, maybe if that increases your confidence, go ahead and do it. Like that's the only law. If it increases your confidence, do it. If it's decreases your confidence, don't do it. If it keeps your confidence the same, that's fine. So if you think that's going to increase your confidence, do it. But I'm going to say you're probably going to just get tired. I don't know if you do that. I don't know if I would do that ever. May test day be spectacular and dank. I can't think of anything. I'm not very creative. I'm going to be very boring here. What the heck? My typing doesn't work. Okay. All right. I need to like as soon as the summer's over, I need to start reading poetry again and like tickling my creative
Cheap, that's correct. 41.
nerves. Closer is. Hang on. Accomplish. Turn into. Taking the vision. Like, like. Just double checking the original context. Oops, what the heck just happened? Ah! I hope my explanation didn't just vanish. Boo! So annoying. Ah! In this, or that's a very specific question, so I'm happy though we got that. Oh, oh, dude, so tiring. I am so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Hey, what's wrong with this website? Is it broken? Okay, let me just double check some of the final chat messages here and see what people say. But I'm also like randomly distracted by the fact that free rice doesn't work right now. Okay, here we go. Adi, thanks for double checking the April 2017 thing. Should you take a final test? I mean, why not, right? What's holding you back? Why wouldn't you take a final test before the real one? I think on Thursday, that means it gives you a little bit of time to decompress. So it won't be actually for you. It's actually Wednesday, right? So on Wednesday, that gives you a couple days to decompress. So I think it's totally worth it. But you're the only one who knows your schedule and your situation. So at the end of the day, you're going to be the final shot caller. But I would say it's totally good. It's totally fine to just take another test. Do I have any superstitions? I don't personally, because I don't, find the SAT to be. I don't know. I don't think that. I don't sweat that hard before I go into into an SAT. But if you have superstitions and like you do like these little things that they help you stay calm, then yeah, do your little superstitious things. I think it's totally fine. 200 subs in a week. I definitely did not get 200 subs in a week. What actually happened? Let's see. Probably I got 131 in 1 month, so that's pretty solid. Pretty happy about this. Obviously, it really helps that the August SAT is coming up, so everyone's like watching my videos. So we'll see. We'll see what happens once the August SAT comes. All of you guys just scatter, and like little cockroaches, just scatter from the light. We'll see if you guys actually come back next week. But until then, I'll be around, guys. All right, I got to go. I am exhausted. But thanks for chilling with me here and watching me answer some questions. I hope I was able to be helpful to you guys, answering some of your questions. And with everything keep everything in mind. Like in the whole sum, in the sum of all things, right? the SAT is just one test. Today, this week's SAT is just one test. It's just one stepping stone in along the very long path towards your future success and happiness and growth and uh, and and contribution and passion and whatever it is that you're chasing. So don't get too shaken up by this one thing that's ahead of you, guys. Try to keep a lighthearted, playful mind around this. Don't get too stressed out. I'll see you guys in the next stream. Till then, take care. Keep on learning. Keep on growing. Peace.